Hey, kia ora, Josh. Congratulations for your successful completion at Ironman 70.3 last weekend. Great shirt you're wearing there. Um, yeah, hey, this is not really a quick call, but I always call it a quick call to have a bit of a debrief post race and talk about what went well and what we can look to do better next time as part of your overall build up. Thanks for allowing me to record this as well for my YouTube channel. Tell me about the day. How did it all go for you?
Thanks, Ray. Yeah, no, it was a great day. Conditions were perfect, and everything went to plan, which is always a bonus for the first time. There was no niggles, no issues getting to the start line, and the day panned out nicely, and we stuck to the numbers we talked about a few nights before with the race plan, and the the results paid dividends, and we got over the line quite comfortably, and with a little bit left in the tank still, which was a bit of a bonus. So I'm pretty chuffed, to be fair.
Yeah, no, you had a great day. As we know, had my own event I was doing locally. I didn't even get a chance to get home and check the results, and you'd already crossed the line. I was getting updates via the Ironman app onto my watch prior to me starting my race, and then also not long after I finished and reconnected it back to my phone. So it was really pleasing to see, especially how you flew through the swim.
Yeah, the swim sort of took me by surprise. I was talking to some friends who had been up there all week, and it was glass every morning except for the morning of Ironman, and there was a little bit of chop there, but it was nothing major. It was very manageable swim, but I personally got out of the water thinking I seated myself a bit too far back because I spent a lot of time pushing through other swimmers, which I wasn't expecting, but it felt very good. So I'm happy with how the swim went. It was my goal time was 35 minutes, and it was just over. So considering that I had to sort of push through a pack, I felt very happy with the outcome.
Awesome. Um, Rewinding a little bit, how did your preparation go? How did the training go leading up to the race
For the swim or just in general?
in general?
Really good, really good. I'm very happy with the program I had. Um, it managed to tick all the boxes, and I still was able to balance out family life and work quite comfortably with it. That was a huge bonus for me. Obviously, when we went into this training block, it was more about time. Um, it was more about time with the training, working around those two things, and that was for me. I found quite comfortable with the hours were quite achievable, and what we talked about earlier in the piece was working it around family life, and we sort of shuffled it. Sorry, little fella's losing it, having to go to
That's
bed.
right. Family
Um,
life.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. So no, that was good. We managed to make it work really well with both Haley and I on board, parenting and with busy family life, and there wasn't too many training sessions I felt I missed. There was probably a couple which I was a little bit bummed about that I missed, but we obviously had things on, which is life. But overall, yeah, no, it all was quite achievable.
Nice. What would you do differently next time?
Um, Personally, would probably focus more time on the bike. Um, Obviously, being the bigger of the disciplines and the one that I probably hadn't really dialed into with data and things like that. That's one I'd focus on going forward.
Yeah,
Um, Sorry about that in the background.
that's
Uh,
right. Oh, it's not coming through at my end.
oh,
So,
that's good. Yeah, yeah. Um,
um,
yeah,
how was your
probably.
nutrition? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I'll let you carry on.
yeah. So the bike's definitely an area I'd focus on more going forward. Obviously, what I'd like to do is to do it again next year. Um, but yeah, definitely want to focus on a bit more biking and probably the running. I found the run really good. Going going forward, I'd never ran a half marathon in my life, so that was the first time I'd done that, and felt extremely comfortable. throughout the whole run, just holding the pace that I held, and just wrecked to have everything went well, no niggles, no
Nice.
injuries, didn't
Well,
bonk or anything, so that was really good.
what we can do, and I'm about to ask about the nutrition side of
Oh,
things,
yep,
so
yep,
yeah, it's good you've led into that nicely. But you mentioned about the bike. What we can look at doing is getting you on board with the velocity, particularly over winter, using the trainer to manage your the quality of training so that we can get those improvements. I've actually just been, prior to this call, looking at the data from everyone that attends velocity on a regular basis. Now, I know you can't make the live sessions that we have each week due to your work commitments, but not everyone does, and a number of them actually will ride in the evening. So I'm looking at putting together a replay class so people can effectively catch up, but do it as a team environment at probably 7:30 at night
yep.
over the winter, doing it on the same day. At the moment, with the athletes that do it in the evening, I know 7:30 is probably not going to suit one of the athletes that doesn't usually make the morning sessions. Um, but it'll give a few people the opportunity to jump in and ride together in a team environment. If that doesn't work, it's still an opportunity to do the replay session. The data I was looking at, we had a number of athletes increase their FTP over the last 6 weeks. One athlete boosted it by 33 watts, which is a huge achievement over 6 weeks. And we're doing regular FTP testing every 6 weeks over winter. So that could fit in really well using your smart trainer, dialing in that training a little bit more.
Cool.
So, how was your nutrition and hydration in the days before the race?
Yep, good, good. Obviously, I had the fueling app, which I've been using since this training block started, which has helped me massively with fueling my body with and learning a lot about macronutrients and obviously hydration and carbohydrate loading and what have. So I've really dialed that in during the training sessions, and I ended up using an online calculator through Precision Hydration and just doing their test and then trialing that and seeing if it worked, and it was really good. So I was happy with
Nice.
that. So throughout the race, it was 60 grams of carbs an hour, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and 750 ml of fluid. So that was pretty easy to do, considering they had a lot of that nutrition on course, especially throughout the bike and the run. The aid stations had those products um,
Yeah.
for me, which was great. So I was able to dial it in pretty easily, and I didn't have any issues with any GI issues or anything like that. I did think I overdone it on the fluid at the start of the bike, having to stop a couple of times to use the toilet, but I'm not too phased about that. I'm glad I was a little bit overhydrated than underhydrated.
Yep,
Yep.
fully agree. And I
Yep.
think we talked about the availability of the options on course, and you don't need to take an excessive amount of drink bottles out there because you can top up frequently. You can get away with just having one bottle on the bike. Some people prefer two, one of electrolyte and one of water. But you'll also see people out there with three, four, five bottles in extreme circumstances. With the frequency of the aid stations in both the 70.3 and the Ironman, it's not required.
Absolutely. No, you did right. Yeah, it was one bottle would have been plenty. Obviously, I just knew that I just wanted the electrolytes each one because I knew the fluid and what the sodium capacity was in each one of those bottles they had. So I was able to figure it out pretty easy prior to the race what I needed to pick up at each aid station. And there was one aid station I was able to skip because I was already on the numbers. So that worked out quite good.
Nice. And how did you sleep and manage stress leading up to race day?
Pretty easy actually. I don't really get too stressed or nervous about things, um, and I just went to bed my normal time after Haley and the kids got up at the night time, and we just put them all to bed, and I followed suit not long after, and I had a great sleep and woke up fine like I normally do, as I'm up early every other morning of the week. So it was
Yeah.
pretty easy to adjust to the 4 o'clock get up time.
Yeah, in your line of work, it's an advantage in a situation like that. And I
Yeah.
suspect you might have been the only person in Taupo that had a good sleep the night before based on that.
Potentially, yeah, yeah. From what I'd heard from other athletes, that yeah, it's always a hard one to get a good night's sleep prior to that. So I think my HRV was around 80, some 70 or 80. So I was pretty stoked with that. So yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
You've touched on your nutrition plan during the event. Well, what about the pacing plan? You touched on right at the intro how perfect that worked for you.
Yes, correct. Yep, yep. So pacing plan went well. Obviously to stay in zone 2 and 3 and not really push too hard into the fourth zone. Obviously with the adrenaline pumping, I think and transition, quite a long transition. Um, and obviously the crowd and that, I think the excitement, the obviously heart rate did rise. And even for the swim, considering it was my normal swim pace, my heart rate was a lot higher than it was in the pool. Probably due to the fact that felt like I didn't exert any more effort, but it was more the fact I was probably in the race moment. Um, it definitely spiked a little bit on the bike, which I was quite surprised with because I wasn't pedaling too hard or my cadence was still quite normal. Um, but it definitely lowered as the ride went on, which was good to see. So that was
Yep.
a bit of relief.
What point did that heart rate peak during the bike?
Probably the first 10 to 15K.
So as you're climbing up to the motor
Yeah,
racing track.
yeah. And I obviously my bike's a very good climbing bike. Um, and I didn't have to put too much pressure on myself to get up any of those climbs because they weren't steep or hard. But it was probably just the atmosphere and what have. I wasn't going excessive, I don't think. But as I got down to the first sort of flat and came down before you turn off to the that new route that you turn out left and go.
Thermal Explorer. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. At Thermal Highway. I it definitely started to lower there, which was a bit of a relief. And then I was able to work the hills quite well. It was probably the only time in the entire race where I actually managed to pass bikes. Was actually going up the hill. The first climb, um, I had the motorbike right up my ass the whole way. So I was like, oh god, here we go. And I obviously knew what the drafting rules and that were, and he stuck behind me the whole way up that climb, and I was able to cruise past about 10 or 15 TT bikes, and then they all passed me going down the hill on the, on the
Yeah.
or the next flat, probably not so much the downhill, but the flats along there um, towards the Wairiki estate, the back of that. They sort of caught me on that, but yeah, no, it was good. I was happy with that. Heart rate came down, and I paced quite nicely. Um, Felt like I definitely could have pushed it a bit harder on the bike, but I'm glad I didn't because it was obviously set me up for the run, which was the unknown. So therefore, I'm happy with that. Yeah,
Nice. Were there any unexpected challenges that appeared during the event, and how did you handle them?
yeah, probably more so the drafting was new to me because I'd never raced and where there was drafting rules before. So it was just gauging your distances and obviously being a little bit slower on the bike with the TT bikes, and you get some people who just cut right in front of you, and then you have to drop back, and then someone else will like they've just cut in front of you, and then they'll ease right back, whereas they weren't keeping a steady flow, whether it was just the groups I was getting myself in, or it was just my inexperience in those sort of conditions and situations. I did struggle a bit with that and not wanting to get penalised in that, so I probably played it a little bit safe. Um, Not,
So
yeah,
it's always a lot better to play it safe
yeah,
than to
yeah,
push those limits and then get pinged.
yeah. I watched two guys in front of me get pinged, and one of them was pissing me off for about 15K. So I'm actually glad he got the whistle blown at him. So um, it was kind of, yeah, it was kind of interesting to see um, that they do pull you up. They're not just there for show. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was good.
How did your body feel during the race? Energy levels, muscular fatigue, cramps, etc. Any of those flare up?
None at all, none whatsoever. No cramps. I was thinking maybe the end of the swim I might get a little bit of a cramp, but I think I managed to get in enough nutrition before the race and stretch and what have, and I think that definitely helps the pre work warm ups going into it, and the nutrition obviously plays a huge part nowadays with your body not cramping up, and I think just the pace that I set and never really caused for any issue because I wasn't pushing overly hard. Whereas in previous times, the only times I have cramped up is probably when I've pushed myself a bit harder or I've had niggles that have caused the body to cramp. I don't tend to cramp a lot, but when I do, it's sort of like, oh shit, I know what I did wrong or what caused it.
Yeah,
So I was able to maintain a comfortable pace throughout the bike and the run that I knew I wasn't going to cramp. Or I got to a point where I was like, I feel very comfortable now. I could probably put the hammer down a little bit, knowing that I'm not going to cramp. So, and I think I'd mentally told myself I'd taken on enough on board that I'm fine.
nice. And you had a sound nutrition plan there as well, so that was all good. What part of the race felt the strongest?
Probably the middle of the run. The last after K14, I felt like I could just pick up the pace a little bit. I did start to drop off a little bit on the run, and then I ended up running with a guy from America and yarning with him for about 5 minutes, which was quite cool. Um, and it was his first time to New Zealand, and it was like a destination race for him
Yeah,
while traveling New Zealand. So I ended up sticking with him for a good couple of K and really enjoyed the conversation. And then I sort of thought he'd be, he sort of said, "Where you at?" And I said, this is my last lap. And he's like, "Oh shit, I'm on my first." And we got chatting, and he's like, "I might just dial it back because I might have been running a touch fast for him." And then I thought, well, I've only got a few K to go, so I might just hammer down a little bit harder and to the home straight. And then I'd left him and into that. So I felt like I was able to push a little bit harder in the last couple of K, which I think I did just not too much, but just a little bit, um,
nice.
and felt strong going over the finish line, which was a huge bonus for me. Sort of running into the unknown at sort of past 18K. So yeah, that was good.
Awesome. Contrast to that, what part of the race felt the toughest?
Probably that towards the end of the bike, just because you've been on the saddle for over 3 hours at that point, and you still know that you've got a half marathon left to run. Um, it's probably more of a mental thing than a
Yeah,
physical, even though physically it's still a struggle at that point. But I wouldn't say struggle; it's just where it gets harder. Um, and it's a sort of a false uphill the whole way up Broadlands
yeah,
into a slight breeze, which it is what it is. Like everyone's in the same situation, so it's not like I'm the only one fighting it.
yeah.
But yeah, that mental barrier at that stage, really, like, right, we're nearly at the end of the bike. That's kind of exciting, but I know I've still got 10K of a slight uphill to go into a slight breeze, and just keep steady and don't cook myself at the end of the bike. And then obviously running into transition, hopping off the bike, I was fresh as because I'd been toilet 20K prior, so I had to wait. So it killed 3 minutes, off the bike. So I took that time to take on some more nutrition and go toilet, and then jump back on the bike and do the home straight, and then
Nice.
into
It's
the
always
run.
good that downhill from the motor racing track into town. It
Yes,
just seems to fly by, literally.
literally. Yep, yep, yep.
Um, how did you manage your mindset and focus during the race?
That's a good question. Didn't I can sort of keep myself pretty occupied in my own head. I don't have too many negative thoughts, so I think that definitely pays dividends to that. I was just able to talk myself through everything, and and just to remind myself that this isn't a race for me; it's a challenge. Um, I'm not. I didn't look at my time once on my. I looked at the numbers obviously and how I was tracking with heart rate, but um, I looked at the how fast I was going on the bike and I wasn't too phased. I was probably a little bit down on what I would have liked to be, but I knew that we had a race plan and we wanted to stick to it. So I didn't really want to push the limit and not be able to finish it comfortably. So I think it was just reminding myself just to keep composed and and think of how good it's going to feel when I get to the run and be able to see my support crew and family cheer me on and that. So that sort of definitely. I think once you get to the run and you've got your support crew there, and not just the support crew, but it's a bit of a because it's the unknown, not having done it before. The support in general is just it's insane. There's not even a word you can describe to how much support you get in Taupo from everyone. Um, and I think that carries you the entire run, um, regardless of how you're feeling. I think it's what gets people over the line, to be fair.
Oh, absolutely. And that atmosphere, you can't compare it to anything else. I know people have gone and raced in Kona and still describe the atmosphere here
Yeah,
as just lifting you the whole way through. They
yeah.
float through the run.
And that's all the overseas people had to do was compliment us on how amazing the support was that they got throughout the entire run when they were on the run course, especially those battlers doing the full into the dark. Like the amount of supporters out on the road at night time is just it's insane.
Yeah.
Um, there's probably just as many out in the sunset as there was, in the early afternoon. It's pretty cool atmosphere, and it's one that's really hard to trump.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned you didn't have too many negative thoughts. How did you overcome the few that you did have?
Um, or the ones that I did have, I managed to just talk myself out of them, and most of them were more the worrying about my times and where I should have been or could have been. Um, they talk about your post race blues and all that sort of stuff. I haven't had that. Like I did at Iron Mouldy, I think because I had a few things go wrong at Iron Mouldy due to lack of an experience and my naivety. This was different. I went into it with a whole different mindset, so I had to just keep reminding myself that it isn't a race and it's not. I don't have to be under a certain time. I just need to get over the line and enjoy the moment. So I think that's probably the one thing that carried me. Um,
Yeah.
and obviously the support of family and friends and everyone else on the course is just you don't have time to think negative when there's that much good vibes going on.
Nice. And you'll have to thank Fritha for recommending you come on board after Iron Mouldy in terms of the contrast between the two events.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's played a big part in that, which has been really neat.
Yeah, and appreciate her sending a couple of videos through during the day of you tracking as well. What kept your motivation through the tough moments?
Um, much the same, just to trying to keep a sturdy mindset and yeah, um, knowing that this is just the first of many, and or I'd like to think so, and just yeah, for me it wasn't about getting a shiny medal at the end of it. It was just about achieving a goal that we set out to, and and obviously yeah, just how everything. I think it helps massively when you're in a good place with your race and nothing's gone wrong. I think that helps helps it massively. Like if there was a whole heap of things that went wrong, I think my mindset might have started to fade. And because I didn't have too many bad thoughts and everything went to plan, I don't think I had time to worry about that.
Yeah, nice. So, in terms of a bit of post-race reflection now, what went well overall?
Personally, I'm really stoked with the swim, um, even though it felt like it wasn't a strong swim. It's still everything stacked up. Um, and obviously I'm very inexperienced with open water swimming, and there's a lot of bodies in that water at once. It's something not used to. Um, that was I felt really comfortable in the water, um, which is a bonus. The run was great because I'd never completed that distance before, and I felt strong most of the way. There was a couple of few parts of the run there where I thought I needed to dial it back just because it was starting to get tough. But the heat of the day, like I don't have time to run in the middle of the day, so I run all in the evening when it's cool, and it's a bit of a shock to the system when you're running in the heat of the day. And
Yeah.
it wasn't a ridiculously hot day, but it was definitely not cold, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I'm stoked with the run. Like I had a goal of in my head, I had a goal if I could do it in 2 hours or under would be incredible after everything I went through in the morning, and doing it. I think it was a 2:03 or something. I'm stoked. Like
Yeah. No, you did really well.
stoked with that. Yeah, yeah. The bike. I just got on and got the job done. Um, Nothing flash, but it paid dividends in the end. So yep.
Nice. What would you change or improve for next time round?
Yeah, obviously the bike, focus a lot more on the bike as it is the biggest discipline, and it's probably where I can save a lot of time if I put a time goal in place. That's probably where I would be able to save it. The run, obviously, I can only improve on the run and the swim. Running's still quite new to me,
Yeah.
and I've got a goal of completing a half marathon in May in Hawke's Bay, as just the run, which will be nice to do. I did the 10K last year, um, and I loved every minute of that run. It was a very cool day, and much like Ironman, just the vibes were good, and the support and that was really cool. So, and there's a group of us that are going up to do it, which is cool.
Nice. I will discuss that in a little bit more detail after we've finished the recording side of things and put together
Yep,
that plan going forward for what's next.
cool.
But it's exciting that you've got those goals. What did you learn about yourself as an athlete?
Um, yeah, to be fair, anything is possible if you put a bit of work in. I'd never really dabbled with endurance sport before, so it was all pretty new to me. And I think after Iron Māori, I sort of got a bit of a shake up to think, shit, am I going to have time to get myself up to shape to complete this comfortably? And at the time, I didn't think I was, but as we signed up and went forward, I felt a lot more comfortable, week in and week out going forward, knowing that, right, I can do this. I can cycle 90K. I can swim 2K in the open water. And I've just run 18K, so I'm pretty sure I can do 21K.
Yeah.
Just piecing it all together, and obviously coming up with a bit of a race strategy was probably crucial, really. Otherwise, I may have had some difficulties throughout the event, if we didn't put those in place.
Yeah, and that's one of the advantages of getting a coach on board to help plan and help manage this and give you the advice and experience that I've had over all these years. So,
Cool, absolutely, yep.
um, thinking ahead to your next 70.3, what sort of goals would you be thinking of for that?
Um, Obviously, I'd probably want to knock a bit off the time, especially on the bike. I'd like to focus a bit more on the bike and the run. I'm pretty happy with the swim. I enjoy swimming just in general. I really loved going down to the pools on Wednesday and doing those training sessions. They were one of those things that, because it's almost an active relaxer for me. Like
Yep.
it, unless you're pushing in a bit of a harder session, but going down and swimming a K or two is actually it's quite therapeutic. It's a bit like going for a bike ride on a nice evening, by yourself, and not turning your watch on, and you're
Yep.
putting your computer on. It's that sort of just that enjoyment. But obviously, I do want to dial in maybe some more numbers and work with a bit more of a power meter, and focus on dialing in an FTP and working off maybe some numbers there.
Yeah, and we'll get you on the velocity platform and work on improving that over winter. That's
Yeah,
not a drama. We'll see some big improvement there.
yeah, have to talk to you about that. No, that's cool. That all good.
Yeah. What's one thing you'll do differently in the race next time?
I'm not sure. So that's another thing I haven't really thought of. Obviously, um, yeah, that's probably something I'll have to think about going forward. Because so many things went right for me. Actually, yeah, Haley's just mentioned learning to piss on the bike. That's
Uh,
one that I could have saved myself with 2 toilet stops, maybe six minutes.
yeah. It's a challenge to relax whilst you're moving,
Yeah,
and take that opportunity. It is definitely a skill. A lot
yeah,
of people are afraid of doing it, thinking it's dirty or unhygienic. It is sterile.
yeah,
But just make sure your drink bottle's not immediately below you once you've developed that skill.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you there. I never really thought of that too. Going forward, but yeah, I've actually got some good advice from a couple, Friffer and Chris next door, who does a lot of riding. And they've sort of both told me some techniques that they've used, and I'll have to practice. It's something I have to practice, but it's something I never practiced before. So um, yeah, I've gone out for rides before, and obviously it's not hard just to get off and go toilet. But when you're in a situation like that, it's not as easy, um, and it's something you don't really want to have to do as well.
Yeah.
Get off and go toilet, but obviously I wasn't worried about time, so for me it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that one. So
Yep.
that that wraps up the debrief side of things, unless there's anything else you want to cover off that I may have missed.
No, I just what we talked about last week prior to the race about absorbing everything because it's the only time you experience that first time once. And I did everything in my power to do that, but it was the unfortunate circumstance. There was so many of us that came through the chute, and I slowed down, rang the bell, let the guys in front of me get ahead, but I never looked back behind me, and there was a whole heap behind me. So it was just a timing thing,
Yeah.
and it was the only thing that went wrong on the day was that, and I sort of let the guy in front of me stop in the finishing chute, and then that bottlenecked everyone up behind me. So it wasn't quite the photo finish I expected, but it was what it was, and
Yeah.
that doesn't phase me one bit. So yeah,
Did you get a good photo?
I did. Yeah, we did. I'm happy enough, and I had family there that got a lot of footage.
Nice.
Throughout the day. So we got some good photos overall. So happy with that. Yep.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again. You had an outstanding effort. You had some very consistent training leading up to it, and the results come to those that do have that consistent training. So once again, well done.
Cool. Thank you very much.